The Israeli military has carried out airstrikes on Nabatieh in southern Lebanon, despite signing a US-brokered agreement with Lebanon last month to end hostilities. On Friday, Israel's military said it targeted several sites belonging to Hezbollah in southern Lebanon since March. Israeli strikes have killed more than 4,300 people and displaced tens of thousands. Al Jazeera's Heidi Pett is following developments from
This
Beirut.
airstrike targeted an area called Nabatieh al-Faw'a, which translates to the Nabatieh Heights. It's the hilltops and the suburbs surrounding this city, which has been the focus of intensive Israeli military activity, particularly before, but even after this latest ceasefire. Now, the Israeli military said that it was targeting Hezbollah fighters in this strike. We don't have confirmation of that or indeed how many casualties there might have been. And part of that is because speaking to members of Lebanon's civil defense in the hours immediately after the strike, they were not able to actually access the location due to the continued threat of Israeli airstrikes in that area. It is not the only Israeli military activity across southern Lebanon today. There was artillery shelling, including on the village of Barashit, where there was a mass civilian funeral earlier on Sunday. Now, that is people who have been killed over the last couple of months, but their families were not able to bury them in their home village because it wasn't safe. And when they tried to do that today, there was artillery shelling on the outskirts of that town. There were also detonations in a couple of other locations. So what this is telling us is that despite the fact that there is a ceasefire in fact, despite the fact that there are two ceasefires supposedly in effect, one guaranteed by the framework agreement signed between Lebanon and Israel as a result of these direct negotiations mediated by Washington. And of course, a ceasefire in Lebanon is the very first term of the MOU signed between the US and Iran. Now, despite both of those agreements, Israeli military activity in Lebanon continues. And in fact, the chief of staff of the Israeli military was inside southern Lebanon earlier on Sunday visiting the Beaufort Castle area, and he said this activity is within what they understand to be the terms of the framework agreement. So it's kind of a questionable ceasefire, but the actual question is not whether the Israeli military activity will continue, because that seems quite certain, but whether Hezbollah will respond. Till this point, their activity has been fairly restrained. There have been a couple of cases of individual fighters who've come out of homes and tried to make attacks on Israeli troops in southern Lebanon, but nothing significant on an organizational level. So the question is whether this Israeli military activity continues, indeed whether it escalates, whether we will eventually see a Hezbollah response.